I was introduced to theater because I had a crush on a girl. This was when I was in middle school. At the time, I was your typical skater punk. I did not see the purpose at all, but I knew that I knew that deep down I had a rather I had an infatuation with comedy, and that I loved to perform, even daily, in basic conversation. I have these deep thoughts as a middle schooler. Absolutely, right? So, this girl asked me to come to auditions with her. It was for a show that was the sequel to Cinderella. It was called Cinderella Incorporated. There was only one male role, and I believe the quote between the two of us was, "How big could it really be? You're just playing Cinderella's cat." Upon reading the script, as it turns out, the cat is the narrator and has the most lines in the show. It is the lead role. Standing in front of an audience, or rather, I guess, kneeling on a table with a ball of yarn in front of an audience, and the first time they laughed at something that I did not think I had said in a humorous way, I was hooked. And here I am today. Every show, in a way, is extremely influential. I feel like I learn more and more with every show I do. I'm literally going back through every show I've ever been in my head. I've got to tell you, it's nearly impossible. It is. It's very difficult to choose just one, and I honestly don't think I can.
My first show was The Life and Adventures of Nicholas Nickleby. It wasn't until my sophomore year of college. I was looking for my English class, trying to map out my classes so I wasn't late in the first day of class, because I didn't want to be that person that comes in like, sorry, I couldn't find a class, I'm a half hour late. Great impression, right? So while I was mapping out my classes, in that area of the department, they were holding auditions for Nicholas Nickleby. And there was a lot of commotion going on, so I went over to see what was happening. And this boy came up to me and asked me to run lines with him. And I said, "Oh, well, thanks, but I'm not auditioning." And somehow, with his good looks and charms, convinced me to go run lines with him in some back room. So I went and I ran lines with him, and I was having a lot of fun doing it. And he's around the time where I came for him to audition, he still didn't have a partner. "You gotta go in with me. You gotta be my partner. Like, I can't believe you ever done theater. Like, you're good at this. Like, you should audition." And I was like, "Yeah." So he convinced me to audition with him. The director was super confused that I've never acted before. Didn't really believe me, I don't think. And when I was in that black box, I realized that I had never felt the way that I felt just then acting, in at least, if not a long time, ever. I would later become addicted to that feeling. But somehow, without filling out an audition sheet, I was cast in the show anyway. And then I became a part of that program without having any time to do it, and was in every single show that I could possibly get myself into after that, and I haven't stopped.
What show is most influential for that?
Well, like you were saying, each is certainly influential in its own way. I was in a show called The Serpent that really sticks out in my mind a lot out of all of them, simply because it taught me how to not be human. It really got me outside of my comfort zone, and I can only think, out of all the shows I've been in, I can only think of one that didn't have any serious impact in its own way.
To my memory, the first show that I ever saw was probably Phantom of the Opera, and that was down at the Bushnell Theater in Hartford, Connecticut. I went there as a kid with my parents, and I remember watching that show and being completely amazed and enthralled by it. And I think that was at the point in my life where I said to myself, I want to do that. The first show that I performed in was, I'm probably going to say from what I can remember, probably The Music Man when I was in 8th grade with the drama club, like most kids get into. And that was a lot of fun, just being on stage and in the costume changes and everything, and I just loved it, and I just procured and proceeded down that path since then. The most influential production, that's a tough one. Like, in terms of viewing, yeah, I think it was that first one I saw, Phantom of the Opera, like, made a huge impact on me and made me want to become an artist. But in terms of the one that I worked on, I don't think I have an answer to that one. You know, they've all had an important part. They've all allowed me to grow in some way as an artist. But not only that, is working with the different teams I've worked with over the years and seeing how different people work. It's interesting, and it allows you to grow as an artist in each of those situations, to learn how to adapt to the different teams and really sell your points and your design concepts. And I think that's the most important thing out of all of it, is just taking something out of every production, good or bad, and rolling with it.
A newfound love for the artist. And when I say that, I don't just mean the artist on the stage. I don't mean Mark Rothko. I don't mean it in a selfish way on behalf of artists everywhere. I actually mean it in the art that we all do every day. That facade that we put on, the care that we put into everything we do, and how at the end of the day you have to love what you do, because that is what you do. That is who you are.
I want them to walk away from the show not only having felt something, but feeling like they learned something. I want them to question their own beliefs about what art is and what it isn't. And I think really the best thing that comes from this script that I think will do well on an audience is that it starts a debate, it starts a conversation. And going back to having art grow, you were talking a lot about how it needs people to see it. People need to talk about it. People need to have that conversation, and I think this is one of those productions that absolutely starts that conversation.
When you see Red, there's a lot of messages you can take out of it. For me, I think the most important message I want you to walk away with is art is a living entity. Yes, it's something that's created. No, it doesn't get up and walk around. Well, not in their sense. There are like little floating statues. That's a whole other story. Anyway, art is a living entity. Be it that in the play, you know, Rothko talks about his paintings as if they were like his children and how they need each other to survive. And I think as an artist, that's something I really connect to and a message I really want to bring through. Much as a father sends his child into the world and worries that the wolves will eat him, I think as an artist who creates something, should worry the same thing about our art, and that's what it really means.